Hey everyone, if you've been following along with this Trevor with Data blog series, you've probably noticed, just how many steps and components you need to create before you can actually start doing analysis. We've got source connectors, data sets, data groups, metrics, dimensions, segments, calculated metrics. That's a lot. And a lot of the APIs that we've built have been done so very intentionally leading up to this moment where we can actually put AI on top of all of that stuff so that a user can do what they need to do very simply, very conversationally, and the AI can kind of handle all of the complexity for you. So I'm excited to show you what I'm calling Ask Trevor, probably the worst named AI assistant of all time, but it's Trevor with data, so I figured you can ask Trevor what you want to do. So the vision for Ask Trevor, will go a lot beyond just setting things up, but I think it's worth showing you how it works and how all of these different APIs and things come together to really make this experience AI native. So let's just start from scratch. I've got a first time setup company here, and we need to get our data up and going. And so this is a good excuse for me to show you all of the cool things that Ask Trevor can actually do when I get set up. So let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to say, I need to set everything up. I'm new. Now it's based on the Claude agent SDK behind the scenes, which is really nice because it comes with all the multi-turn capabilities. And a lot of the different agentic models that they create are top of the line. I really have enjoyed using them. But you can see, okay, it comes back and says, let's get set up. I need some information. So let's go ahead and get it the information that it needs. I'm just going to go ahead and put in here the credentials that it needs, and it should be able to get everything from that it needs to do to start setting up. So with those credentials, it's now able to go and check BigQuery to see what data I have in there and see what it can actually pull in, which is really great. I don't have to, spell it all out. It's smart enough to go figure that out. Okay, you can see the connection worked, but obviously I need to give it a little bit more information. All of my example data is in a data set called customer journey. So I'll tell it that. One of the cool things about it too is that if you don't know where to get any of these credentials or you're unfamiliar with BigQuery, it can actually guide you through getting the right information. It can tell you where to go to get those credentials, which is really nice if you're new to this ecosystem. So you can see now it's actually created the source connection that I had with BigQuery. And now what it's doing is it's going and retrieving all of the available tables that I've given it access to see which of those it can pull in. And you can see it's come back with all of the tables that I had in there, which is awesome. And it's able to basically classify those out of the gate to say, I think this is an event data set. I think this is an identity map. I think these are lookup data sets. And it, basically looks at the fields and some of the data in there to make that determination. Now it's asking me if I want to bring in all of the tables and whether I want to do stitching. So let's go ahead and answer it. 1, yep, bring in all of them. 2, yes, I want stitching, but it only applies to my web and mobile events. They use the same ID map. And then 3, yep, looks good to me. So once I give it those responses, it's going to go and try and create all of the data sets for me with all of the settings that you need to actually set those up. So it's going to go and find the right source IDs. It's going to pick the right fields and try and figure that out. Okay, now you can see it's trying to determine which fields in the data it should use to set up. So you can see, okay, my web analytics data, it needs an event timestamp, so it figured that out. The primary user ID is my cookie ID, and the row ID. All of those are the fields that it needs to do, and it's done a great job here correctly identifying all of those. It's also found the primary key for the 3 lookup data sets I have, which is great. The timestamp field for my ad campaign data. And then it's also smart enough to try and figure out how to apply my identity mapping. So it knows where the device ID is located that I'm going to be looking up against. And it's suggesting customer ID, then email as my cascading IDs, which is pretty smart. Like, that's exactly what I would want to do. Now I need to answer a question about replay. It's asking, should I do this every 24 hours or every 6 hours? Let's just say, yep, every 24 hours is great. Awesome. Now, while that to-do list is getting done, I think it's worth talking about the models that we're using. So this uses the Opus 4.6 model behind the scenes, which I have found to be incredibly intelligent and able to understand complex instructions and do complicated data tasks, as well as being able to navigate all of the different tools that I've given it. There's warehouse connection tools, managing data sets, metrics, dimensions, segments, reports, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So having the rich, deep context that Opus provides, as well as its, super smart ability to kind of make sense of it all, has made a huge difference. So you can see it's getting through most of these data sets here and getting them set up, which is awesome. It even got the cascading rules defined, and now it's creating a customer journey data group for me, which is perfect. Now, one of the cool things about what I've done here is I've been able to give it a lot of context and information about best practices, standard metrics and dimensions, the different calculated metrics and things that you need. And you can see that it's using that wealth of information that I've given it to help create dimensions and metrics that matter to my business. You can see it's going to do its very best to set up marketing channels. It's creating some standard metrics that it thinks are important to me, like page views and orders, store revenue. It's identified the in-store data. And the really nice thing is that it's using the native schema of the data that I had in BigQuery without me having to do transformation or transform the data into schemas that my system understands. Instead, my system can just kind of inherently understand what is in the data. And AI is kind of facilitating that here in order to make that easy for end users. So you can see it's creating all of the online marketing fields. It's found a bunch of the call center data. It's creating those dimensions for me as well. You can see it's found a dimension for pickup method and payment method, call outcome. These are all elements from the data that I had it bring in. Cool, and it says my setup is complete. That took, maybe 5 minutes or so. And it's created one source. It brought in all 9 of the data sets that I had. It created a data group for me. It created 24 metrics for me, a lot of standard ones, but then schema specific and calculated ones, and then a bunch of dimensions. Now that we have this all set up, let me show you just one more thing that's really great about it. We have the ability to enter in context. Now, context is super important. For example, being able to put in information about your business. What industry are you in? What company? What do they do? What are your main products and services? Put in key definitions and KPIs, like how do you define an active user, or how do you do revenue? What are your most important metrics? You can put in things like what's your internal jargon, that the tool should understand. So that can be done at a company level, but you can also do things at a user level. So if you have user level things like, what is your role? What is your area of focus? What are your reporting preferences? Do you have specific time ranges that you like to use? Or are there certain ways you like to visualize the data? And then, you can give it pretty much anything you want to know. So even like, I want you to speak to me like a pirate. This is super important. Now, when I save that and I go back to the chat, let's start up a new conversation here. I can say, hey, what data do we have? And you can see it's now talking to me like a pirate. Ahoy, matey. Let me pull up your treasure chest of data. So, yeah, super cool. Lots more to come with the AI assistant. Ask Trevor. You'll be able to run reports, do all sorts of analyses, basically anything that the user can do in the UI, the AI will be able to do for you if you wish. Anyway, so have a great day. Hopefully this is fun. If you want to try it out, go ahead and sign up for early access. I'd love to get user feedback, have people testing this out. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.